Bill Johnston is the undersheriff of Tehama County. And gosh, Bill, we've known each other for a while. When I first came here, he was a deputy in Modoc County. I wish we had him back. He's now the undersheriff of Tehama County, and I want to thank his boss for allowing him to come up here and say a few words on his behalf. Bill Johnston.
Well, I thank you all very much. It's really an honor to be standing up here with such gallant, courageous sheriffs. Really appreciate all the work they've done, the stand they're taking on against our government's loss of representation. I really want to express thanks to Sheriff Lopi. He chairs the California State Sheriff's Association Public Lands Policy Ad Hoc Committee, which you're going to hear from and see a lot more of in the future. Up here listening to everybody, one of the things that they touched on, and I have to thank Doug Knox for touching on it, is the UN Agenda 21. Most of you probably don't know about it. Quite frankly, I didn't know a lot about it. I spent the last few days looking at it and studying it. So I have a little excerpts of it that I want you to be aware of. Be aware of camouflage, because our government has a way of camouflaging things, not only on a national level, but on a global level. So the UN has adopted Agenda 21. It actually started in 1992. And it simply says this: it is a comprehensive blueprint of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations governments and major groups in every area in which humans directly affect the environment. And that's what we've been talking about up here. But I really want to give you a realistic statement on what it really means. It is really, Agenda 21 is really a comprehensive plan of extreme environmentalism. It is social engineering and global political control. Now, I don't do a lot of research. I like to think I do, but quite honestly, some of it bores me. So I don't do it. I concentrate on the little things, like helping the sheriff run his department. But when I read this, you know, recently got off my blood pressure medicine. I've gone back on it. But anyway, the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, and I'm not saying become a Republican because of it, don't think that. But they have had the funding to actually look at Agenda 21, and this is their take on it. It is a disregard for American freedom, private property rights, and a key player in the leftist move towards one world government. It assaults the very foundation of the United States of America. So, anytime now that you have heard me speak about it, anytime you hear some environmentalists talk about Agenda 21, you know where to tell them to put it. Thank you. Anyway, the sheriff, my sheriff, knows that these meetings are very important. He had a prior engagement. So he called me and he said, these meetings are important, I want to be represented. He said, go up there and do your thing. So I'm doing my thing because I do what my sheriff wants. But it is very important. And he would like for you to know that on his level, he has he has written a letter opposing the expanding federal authority to work off federal land. Don't get me wrong, we understand that there are occasions when federal authority needs to come into our county and do some type of work. But here's the thing. They come into our county with our permission. They come into our county with strings attached. And they come into our county with authority that's revocable. Does that make sense to everyone? I have to say one of the good things that have come about all of this is that we now have a Tehama coordination committee, and I implore all counties to, if they don't already have one, to get one. And simply for us, it's a committee that consists of 2 members of the Board of Supervisors, the sheriff, of course, the planning director, and then citizens. We have citizens assigned to 3 phases. One is outdoor recreation. Another one is ranching and grazing. Another one is timber and water. And then we also have 2 members at large. And what they do is represent the interest of our county in establishing and maintaining a dialogue with federal and state officials when it comes to what they do in our county, which is very important. And the law says they'll do it. And we're going to push it all the way. So just a reminder, we have Support Rural America Sheriff's event on June 23rd in Red Bluff, California at our fairgrounds. Please try to make it. We're expecting a very large crowd. We have commitments from 7 North State sheriffs. So in closing, I would like to leave you with this. There was once a highly decorated colonel, an American colonel. And as he prepared to take his men into battle, he knew that he had a very formidable enemy. But he gallantly led his men into battle. And it went to hand-to-hand combat. And pretty soon he found himself with his exact opposing enemy colonel. And they engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Well, the enemy colonel got one up on our colonel. And he found himself standing in front of the pearly gates of heaven. And there was St. Peter. And he looked beyond the gates and he saw kings and queens and past presidents, Nobel Peace Prize winners, and people that he really wanted to meet and he really wanted to talk to. And St. Peter said very simply, you can come on in if you can spell one little word. And the general said, well, what's the word? I think I can do it. And he said, love. And the general said, well, L-O-V-E, I'm in. St. Peter opened the gate and said, come on in. A few months go by. The general was enjoying his time in golden pathways, and he's loving his time in heaven. One day, St. Peter comes to him and says, General, I'm really feeling under the weather. I just can't work the gate today. Would you mind doing it? The general says, I would be honored. I'd be glad to work the gate. He's out there working the gate, and here comes, guess who? The opposing general. The one that took his life. The general comes up there and he looks beyond the gate, sees kings, queens, monarchs, Nobel Peace Prize winners, presidents. And he says, man, I would really love to be a part of that. And the general says, it's easy. You only have to spell one word. What's the word? Czechoslovakia.